There are lots of definitions, and to a certain extent, it makes common sense. One of the things you're going to hear today in the next 40 minutes, 37 minutes, I better talk faster. Almost every slide, almost every image comes to me from one of my students who are working K-12 teachers. So this is my favorite definition of teacher research, and it was written by Dana Miller, who's a wonderful physics teacher. Teacher research, very simply, is teachers asking questions about their own practices and how they can improve upon them. And the asking questions and the improving, those two things have to be linked for teacher research to work. Okay. One of the important features of teacher research is that it is not objective. You are not distanced. You're not researching what somebody is doing over there. You're researching what's happening in your own classroom. And that puts teachers in a prime position to be vulnerable and possibly fail. And anyone who's done teacher research in this room knows you make mistakes. Things don't go the way you plan. That is part of the story. In teacher research, there's not really any failure because every mistake you made, everything that doesn't happen becomes part of your learning process, like stones in a river. So one of the things to remember is that things converge on you, the teacher. The researcher is the researched. The research site is your professional context. And the practice itself, your teaching itself, is part of the study. You may think that you're studying the best way to teach math for your students, but really what you're studying is how do you teach math best for your students. And remember, who are the students that you're not reaching? That's a perfect place to push your teacher research. Okay. So what it means is you have to walk around with a mirror, and that's not always comfortable. You're taking something that was previously an associative activity, that is something you do without thinking about it too much. Yes, you do all your lesson planning, but you're not hyper-conscious of what you're doing in your classroom. Teacher inquiry, teacher research asks you to walk around with a mirror, and suddenly everything feels like you're under a microscope. So that's part of the vulnerability you have to become comfortable with. Again, what it does is it places you in the center of the landscape. I'd like to say that good teacher inquiry questions indicate somewhere in them what the teacher will be doing, what they'll be feeling, what they'll be seeing, what they'll be working on. So it really should be something very close to your heart. How does inquiry work? What does it do? This is an image of one of my favorite paintings. I first saw this painting when I was 5 years old, and it absolutely captivated me. Little did I know that 25 years later, it would be the brand image for my program, which is about reflective practice and teacher inquiry. It's an innkeeper's wife, but she might as well be a teacher, and she's looking up from a pile of books, but she's thinking in the distance about, well, we don't know what. So how does teacher inquiry work? What does it do? One of the things it does is it gives us an image of ourselves as a teacher. In my classes back home, I work with my teachers to talk about storytelling, like Kathleen referenced. Who were the best teachers you had that inspired you? Who were the worst teachers you had that you don't want to be like? For whom are you the best teachers? Who are the students in your class that are your apples? And who are the students, and this is important, for whom you're not yet the best teacher? Who are the students you need to extend your skills because their learning doesn't match the way you teach? So teacher research gives us images of ourselves, but as you'll see in all three of these, the image in the mirror doesn't quite match the image in reality. There's always a gap, and we have to figure out how to get a truer picture of who we are in the class from the perspective of our students. And if you want to do something really scary, ask your students to draw a picture of you teaching. You will be amazed. The problem is sometimes you get lost in all that mirror. You don't know which one is you. Every one of us has multiple roles. We're teachers, we're psychologists, we're parents, we're friends, we're supervisors. So sometimes those images of ourselves just kind of spread out and we don't know which one is the real one. When my students say to me, how do I know which is the real me? I always say the one in the middle, and I move on.